What secrets lie behind Frank Spencer's shy smile in Some Mothers Do Avum, the sitcom that has been making Britain laugh for over 5 decades? In this video, we uncover the real names behind the beloved cast, uncover the mysterious circumstances that led to their untimely deaths, and expose the hidden tragedies they endured, so we can truly appreciate the legacy they left behind. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Let's get started. Elizabeth Slaton as Judy. Elizabeth Slaton, born February 1st, 1946 in Liverpool, appeared in just one episode of Some Mothers Do Avum in 1973 at the age of 27. As Judy, a hospital visitor, Slaton brought warmth and tenderness to the chaotic world of Frank Spencer. It was only a brief cameo, but it became a career highlight, a quiet impact. Her true legacy, however, lies not in the sitcoms, but in the Doctor Who universe. That same year, 1973, she joined the series as Sarah Jane Smith, a companion known for her intelligence, courage, and deep compassion. Sarah Jane quickly became one of the most beloved companions of all time. Decades later, Slaton starred in her own spin-off series, The Sarah Jane Adventures, from 2007 to 2011, becoming a role model for a whole new generation of kids. Despite being in the entertainment industry for 4 decades, Elizabeth has remained humble. She often stays late after fan meetings to sign autographs and chat with fans, always kind and genuine. In 2011, the Doctor Who community was shocked by the news of her death from pancreatic cancer. She kept her illness a secret and died at the age of 65, leaving a huge void. David Tennant once called her a true legend, and he was right. She is survived by her husband, actor Brian Miller, and daughter Sadie, who later pursued an acting career. Although Judy was a fleeting character, Elizabeth Slaton was never just a character. She poured her heart into every frame. Dick Bentley as Grandpa. Dick Bentley, born May 14, 1907 in Melbourne, Australia, joined several other mothers in 1978 at the age of 71 as Grandpa, Betty's eccentric but loving father. Appearing in the final season of the series, his character brought a warm family atmosphere to Frank Spencer's unhappy world. But Bentley's career didn't start on television. He was a major figure in radio comedy. From the 1930s onwards, he entertained Australian audiences with shows such as The Mobile Quest, before moving to Britain, where he became a familiar face on the BBC with Take It From Here. With his rapid-fire delivery, he was dubbed the laugh machine of the 1950s. Despite his mastery of comedy, Bentley's personal life was quiet and private. In his later years, Bentley gradually withdrew from the limelight and battled Alzheimer's disease, a silent disease that robbed him of his trademark wit and sharpness. He died on August 27, 1995, at the age of 88. If you ever laughed at Grandpa's adventures or loved his voice on the radio, you owe Dick Bentley a smile. And that is perhaps the greatest legacy of any artist, to bring laughter and then die with dignity. Michael Crawford as Frank Spencer. Michael Crawford, born January 19, 1942 in Salisbury, was the heart and soul of Some Mothers Do Avum, playing Frank Spencer, a clumsy but good-natured man whose every move was a disaster, from 1973 to 1978, starting the role at the age of 31. With his quavering voice and signature line, "Oh, Betty," Frank has become one of the most iconic characters on British television. Crawford's talent lies not only in his physical comedy, falling down stairs and smashing things, but also in imbuing Frank with a vulnerability that makes viewers laugh and empathize. This rare combination of humor and humanity makes Crawford unforgettable. After Some Mothers, he turned to musical theater, reaching new heights with his first performance as the Phantom in The Phantom of the Opera, 1986, winning a Tony Award and winning over Broadway audiences. But fame came at a price. During his separation from his wife, Crawford withdrew from public life, living quietly in an apartment to escape the pressures of fame. He sometimes turned down new roles to avoid being pigeonholed as Frank, but his love of acting never waned. As of 2025, at age 83, Michael Crawford makes occasional public appearances, no longer dancing on stage but still carrying the warmth and gratitude that defined his career. If you've ever laughed at a perfect fall or felt a pang at Frank's clumsy apology, you'll understand why the role has endured and why Crawford remains one of Britain's most beloved actors. Edward Hardwicke as Hooper. Edward Hardwicke, born on 7 August 1932 in London, appeared in a single episode of Some Mothers Do Have He in 1973, at the age of 41, playing Hooper, a serious character who was the polar opposite of Frank Spencer's bumbling antics. It was a brief role, but it showed Hardwicke's true strengths, bringing depth and presence to otherwise quiet, serious characters. Born into a theatrical family, his father was the legendary actor Sir Cedric Hardwicke. Edward trained at RADA and served in the Royal Air Force before embarking on a career in acting with a calm, disciplined, but not lacking in flair. His most memorable role came in the 1980s, playing Dr. Watson alongside Jeremy Brett in The Return of Sherlock Holmes. His calm, matter-of-fact performance perfectly balanced Brett's intensity, and together they created what many consider the quintessential Holmes-Watson pairing. Sadly, Hardwicke passed away from cancer on May 16, 2011, at the age of 78. His death was quiet, but to Sherlock Holmes fans, he will forever be Watson, not flashy, but the most loyal and trustworthy friend imaginable. Jane Hilton as Mrs. Fisher. Jane Hilton, born July 16, 1927 in London, appeared in a 1973 episode of Some Mothers Do Have Him at the age of 46, playing Mrs. Fisher, a stern, slightly irritable woman who nevertheless showed genuine concern for Frank Spencer. With her piercing eyes and clear voice, Hilton brought a steady presence to the character amid the show's characteristic chaos. But Jane Hilton was more than just a guest star. She was a film star of the 1940s and 1950s, best known for her roles in It Always Rains on Sunday, 1947, and Passport to Pimlico, 1949, admired for her classic beauty and emotional depth. As black and white cinema gave way to new trends, she moved to television, taking guest roles in series such as The Avengers and Dixon of Dock Green. In her personal life, Hilton was the devoted wife of actor Peter Dineley and mother of their only daughter, Rosalind. Her life was largely peaceful and fulfilling until her sudden death from a heart attack in 1979 at the age of 51. Her death left friends, colleagues, and loved ones in shock. Rosalind later recalled that her mother was not only a talented actress, but also a strong woman in an industry that was often male-dominated. If you've ever seen Jane Hilton on screen, you'll remember her expressive eyes and graceful demeanor. Even though she only appeared briefly in Some Mothers, she left a lasting impression, because true talent doesn't need more than a moment to shine. Michelle Dautrice as Betty Spencer. Michelle Dautrice, born September 27, 1948 in Cleethorpes, England, made her mark in television history with her portrayal of Betty Spencer, Frank Spencer's patient and understanding wife, in Some Mothers Do Have Him. She was only 25 when she first took on the role in 1973, but her performance was one of maturity beyond her years, rich in subtlety and emotional intelligence. To the audience, Betty is a soft anchor in Frank's chaotic storm. But Michelle's performance is more than just following the script. She breathes into Betty a tenacious vitality, a love that is not shown but expressed through Frank's sighs, glances, and cries of both anger and love that somehow say it all. Her chemistry with Michael Crawford not only creates magical comedy, but also sets the emotional tone for the entire film. Coming from a family of actors, her father is Roy Dotrice, known to young audiences for his role in Game of Thrones. Michelle saw the stage not as a performance, but as a way of life. After Some Mothers, she appeared in such works as The Three Musketeers, 1973, and Vanity Fair, 1998. However, none of them could match the cultural impact Betty left. Off-screen, she led a quiet life, first marrying actors Edward Woodward and then Charles Reese. She raised her daughter Emily in a loving home but kept out of the limelight. Although Michelle rarely pursued fame, she has admitted that her early success sometimes left her feeling out of place. Yet she has never regretted her choice of artistic path. In 2025, at the age of 76, Michelle occasionally appears in reunion specials, her voice still carrying that delicate power. She still fondly recalls the mishaps during filming, Michael Crawford's unscripted falls, or the moments when the entire set collapsed while she had to maintain a straight face as Betty. Betty Spencer was never meant to be a character who was meant to be funny or dramatic. But under Michelle Dotrice's quiet guidance, she became something much more enduring, a symbol of unconditional love, unwavering support, and the quiet hope that even in the midst of disaster, someone will still be there for you. John D. Collins as Dr. Boyd. John D. Collins, born December 2nd, 1942 in London, appeared in a 1973 episode of Some Mothers as Dr. Boyd. His appearance was brief but memorable, as a doctor trying to understand a patient named Frank Spencer, who defied all medical rules and common sense. It was a wonderfully comedic moment. Logic meets madness. John was already a familiar face to British audiences, known for his clever yet absurd acting, with a restraint that made the chaos around him all the more hilarious. His most iconic role came later, as Officer Fairfax in the beloved series Allo, Allo, 1982 to 1992, where he perfected his brand of absurd comedy. He wasn't a clown, but a man trying to maintain decency while the world comically fell apart around him. Growing up in post-war Britain, John brought a quiet dignity to his craft. "Do your job well, without shouting," he once said. And that's exactly how he lived. He rarely takes on leading roles, preferring to spice up scenes that others might overlook. Behind the scenes, he is respected for his thoughtful words, calm demeanor, and deep appreciation for the craft. As of 2025, at the age of 82, John D. Collins is still actively involved in a number of television projects. He enjoys a quiet life with his family, away from the limelight, choosing roles not for fame but for meaning. No scandals, no headlines, just a legacy of enduring excellence. His role as Dr. Boyd may be a blink-and-you-miss-it role, but for some moms' fans, he's the center of the storm, calm, confused, and beautifully British. Cyril Luckham as Father O'Hara. Cyril Luckham, born July 25, 1907 in Salisbury, England, appeared in a single 1973 episode of Some Mothers Do Avum at the age of 66. As Father O'Hara, a kind and calm priest, Luckham provided a calm, steady image that contrasted with the chaos that often characterized Frank Spencer's world. Although his role in the comedy was a one-note one, Cyril Luckham remained a familiar figure to British television audiences throughout the 20th century. He is best known for his role as the White Guardian in Doctor Who and had a brilliant turn in the Forsyte saga. Trained in classical theater, Luckham represents a generation of unpretentious but indispensable actors. With his dignified voice and calm demeanor, he often plays statesmen, scholars, or clergymen, figures who command respect from the moment he enters the room. Cyril Luckham passed away peacefully on 8th of February 1989, aged 81, leaving behind a quiet but lasting legacy of elegance and grace. James Cossins as Watson. James Cossins, born December 4, 1933 in Beckenham, Kent, is a man whose screen presence rarely lasts more than a few scenes. But those scenes remain in your memory, etched in his unrivaled ability to portray the confused, the difficult, and the bored. In 1973, at the age of 40, he appeared in a single episode of Some Mothers Do Ovum, playing Watson, a man whose life is momentarily turned upside down by the whirlwind of misfortune that is Frank Spencer. With his furrowed brows, his gruff voice, and his painfully genuine anger, Cossins turned a seemingly innocuous role into something that made audiences laugh. There was something comically latent in his seriousness as the world crumbled around him. His humor came not from jokes, but from precision. He never winked at the camera, never begged for laughs, and that was why people laughed. That kind of straightforward humor became his trademark. He perfected this ability in dozens of roles, often as stern school teachers, surly civil servants, or gentlemanly men who could not stand absurdity. In Fawlty Towers, he played Mr. Walt, a guest so condescending and fussy that even Basil Fawlty felt he had no idea how to handle him. But beneath his rigid exterior was a comic rhythm that made him unforgettable. It is no surprise that he also appeared in international films, appearing in The Man with the Golden Gun, 1974, opposite Roger Moore, proving that even James Bond needed a serious man to make the fantasy believable. But despite his familiarity to millions, James Cossins himself is a relatively private person. He rarely gives interviews. He was not a man for appearances or parties. In an age when actors were becoming brands, Cossins remained a craftsman, content to let his work speak for itself. It was this calm and collectedness that may explain why the news of his sudden death from a heart attack on February 12, 1997, at the age of 63, took the film industry by surprise. It felt wrong, like a scene that wasn't finished. To his colleagues, he always seemed reliable, steady, an actor who was there to deliver exactly what the story needed, no more, no less. Derek Farr as Dr. Menda. Derek Farr, born February 7, 1912 in London, appeared in the 1978 episode Some Mothers Do Avum at the age of 66. As Dr. Menda, the calm and rational doctor, Farr provided a subtle anchor for the final season. Amidst Frank Spencer's constant mishaps, Dr. Menda's presence provided a gentle stability, grounding the comedy and adding a touch of realism. Derek Farr is no stranger to British television, however. He was one of the most beloved actors in British cinema during the 1940s and 1950s, best known for his leading roles in The Dam Busters, 1955, and No Highway in the Sky, 1951, opposite such stars as James Stewart. He was often cast as officers and gentlemen, embodying post-war courage and dignity. Outside of film, Farr had a happy and lasting marriage to actress Muriel Pavlo. They were one of the few showbiz couples whose relationship lasted decades, a testament to their deep connection and mutual respect. As the entertainment industry evolved and new tastes emerged, Farr quietly withdrew from the spotlight, content to let a new generation shine. He died of natural causes on March 21, 1986, at the age of 74. His death did not cause a public stir, but for fans of the golden age of British cinema, it marked the loss of a true gentleman on screen. Glenn Edwards as Mr. Lewis. Glenn Edwards, born February 2, 1931 in Malaya, now Malaysia, appeared in the final episodes of Some Mothers Do Avum in 1978 at the age of 47. As the stern, no-nonsense neighbor Mr. Lewis, Edwards provided the perfect balance to the chaos caused by Frank Spencer. With his deep voice, piercing eyes, and unfunny demeanor, every scene he appeared in was surprisingly funny. Before his sitcom fame, Glenn Edwards was a familiar face on British television, most notably as Dave, a barman in the long-running series Minder from 1979 to 1994. With his distinctive Cockney accent, He became the archetype of the common man, a role that audiences loved. He began his career on stage, then moved to television with a series of roles in Z Cars, The Saint and the Avengers, always bringing a genuine and relatable charm. Edwards was a private man in private life. He was married to actress Eutha Joyce, star of George and Mildred. Her death from alcoholism in 1980 was a huge shock, and Edwards lived a quieter life afterwards. He retired from acting in the early 2000s and lived a reclusive life until his death of natural causes on May 23, 2018, at the age of 87. Geoffrey Chaucer as bank manager. Geoffrey Chaucer, born 23 March 1921 in London, appeared in a 1973 episode of Some Mothers Do Of 'Em at the age of 52. As the bank manager, confused and increasingly bewildered by Frank's antics, Chaucer delivered a masterclass in subtle comedy, using only his eyes and awkward pauses rather than big jokes. Chaucer was a familiar face on British stage and television throughout the 20th century. He appeared in Brideshead Revisited, The New Avengers, and many other period films. With his elegant looks and perfect English accent, he was often cast as judges, politicians, or academics, characters that exuded sophistication. A graduate of RADA, he even shared the stage with Laurence Olivier, cementing his profound theatrical legacy. Geoffrey Chaucer passed away on October 16, 2021, at the remarkable age of 100. His role in Some Mothers only lasted a few minutes, but if you watched the episode, you probably remember the look of concern on his face when Frank walked through the door. That's the beauty of great comedy. It doesn't have to be loud, it just has to be perfectly timed.